Oh, we got dead air, man. Come on.
All right.
Oh, happy Monday, guys. It is Monday. It's a little after 5 o'clock. It's time for a little after hours real estate. I am Chris Pesek, broker associate at the Dripping Springs home team at Pesek Properties. Here, as always, with my trusty sidekick and buddy, Stephen Babcock of CMG Financial. What's up,
Thanks,
bud?
sir. How are you?
Good, man. My lighting is off today. I apologize. So
My lighting is on today. I do not.
your lighting is on point. It is. It is.
Sound on the
Guys,
other. We'll
we
see. We'll see.
sorry. Go ahead.
I said my sound on the other hand. We'll see. See this little thing right here, little corner of the.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my littlest. We'll see.
It's all good, man. Guys, anyway, on Mondays we get together, we drink a little bit, and we talk about real estate and mortgage. And today, evidently, we're going to talk a little bit about China because I've been out of it today, focused on a few other things. And my buddy here says, "Have you seen what's going on with China?" And I haven't. So let's get to the drinking and to the talking.
Yeah.
What are you drinking, buddy?
So today I got my wife, got a little fancy. And we've got some. Can you see this? Let me see here.
Can I? Oh, little Love Street.
Light. Man, that light is so bright you can't see it.
I don't even know. I don't even know. You're drinking Love Street. That's what you're drinking. And I'm still coughing, guys. If y'all remember, I was sick last week. Sorry. I'm feeling better. I just can't stop coughing. So, what do you do when you cough? You drink more.
Drink.
That's what you do.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah, you got your lighting is on point. My lighting, evidently,
If I go too close, though, I turn into like a music video.
Working. Heck yeah.
Is that nice? So, dude, there's been a lot of crazy stuff.
All right, man, you got to go because I have seen a couple of things, but I'm going to let you run with it because you're excited right now.
Man, I was driving home today. I couldn't believe the news actually played it, but I was reading about it last night, and they're comparing it to Tiananmen Square.
Wait, what? Yeah, I completely missed this.
There's protests all over the place, even to like people, breaking down barricades. There was this video that went around social media. Which quickly gets taken down in China, but this one was being broadcasted live and then was shared and keeps getting posted, and etc. And it was of a woman she was burning alive in her apartment, and the doors apparently were welded shut where she lived because of COVID mandates. They don't have enough people to enforce them, so they weld the doors closed in a lot of these places. And experts have been saying for months now, it's just a matter of time till the fire breaks out. I mean, come on, you're literally welding them in the buildings.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so if I'm smiling at all, it's because there's an uprising. And I don't want there to be an uprising, but man, everything I've been reading, all I've been thinking is I can't imagine that ever happening here. People just would not take it. There's just no way.
No.
Welding doors shut for multiple apartment buildings and not letting them go get food, by the way,
Wow.
For weeks at a time. Hope you have enough, right? It's really scary. Sometimes they'll get a warning in some of these cities at like 2 a.m. for a 6 a.m. lockdown. Better be paying attention. And then and the videos come out of lines out the door, right? Until 6, and then here come the cops. You get in your car, go right now. Right. And so long story short is that it finally happened. Something like 10 people died in the fire. Of course, nobody's confirmed that the doors were sealed shut. But she was screaming out the window and on live video. So it was pretty obvious. Well, I mean, she told everybody. It's sparked serious uprising in China. So that's number one. Number two, last week, like 10 days ago, something like that. The president, no, thank you. No, sir, we're not going to eat crayons. All right. Like 10 days ago, the president, and we're not getting political here, I promise, but issued a directive. I don't even know if I'm using the right verbiage. Again, don't get me in that arena. I can't speak it right now. I don't know enough. But what I do know is that he gave all of our engineers 4 days, I think it was, to get out of China or lose your citizenship.
That was longer than 10 days. That was
it was 2 weeks then. Fine, whatever. It was so right. Okay, well then, just recently, then, in addition to that, he has now stated that if you are going to get computer chips from China, you have to have a license to buy them, and you can get it from us.
Right.
Okay, so
I did see
who
that.
gave the license? You didn't see that, you said?
No, I did see that.
You did? Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So we have those two things with China right now. Man, I just had a lunch with somebody today that's on a 5-year waiting list for a new Lexus because of the chip shortage.
5 years.
Apparently, they've shut the plants down. They don't have the chips, so why make the cars?
Wow.
Yeah, and so you hear this news about China, and it's like maybe a little longer than 5 years, huh? Maybe it's time for them to redesign their car, use the chips they can.
And everything that I keep reading, based around this is how fast the industrial complexes are being built in other countries right now. U.S. being one of the major ones, and Germany was trying, but evidently they can't get it pulled off because they don't have the energy. They don't have the energy.
Mm.
So I know that there's manufacturing plants being built in Mexico, and there's a few in India as well. India takes a little while longer. Mexico's getting it done quicker, but obviously in Mexico there's a lot of issues with we'll call it local militia type police. So yeah, everything that I'm reading is how the rest of the world is going to have to reindustrialize because everything for so long had been outsourced to China, and now that's all falling apart. So,
and not even just China. It wasn't always just China.
Yeah.
We learned about this in economics class actually in college. How even if you can make more widgets than the other neighbor, you two combined, even if you're not making your widgets, might be able to produce more of two things at once than you could by yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, stand straight. But reality is you invade China, for instance, and decide, what, we're going to bomb the chip makers or the chip plants. Let's just throw it out there. Well, then where do you get your chips from? Right? Then, I don't care who's. I mean, I care. This is theoretical. Nobody's talking about that. At the end of the day, though, the whole point is if one thing is taken out like that, that's that sensitive. The world is reduced to 30% of what they have now. They're relying on Taiwan, I believe, and then that's
Taiwan makes the important chips, like the valuable chips.
Do you even realize that Taiwan? Okay, so during the war that they had, Taiwan was a different communist country of China. They believed they were the owners of China, and to this day, they still believe they are the owners of China. And we're all sitting here. I feel like that's not really known by a lot of people. They're like, oh, they believe in democracy. Well, yeah, a good portion of them also believe in communism, and they also believe they are China. They don't believe they're just Taiwan. They believe they are China. And anyway, it's very not black and white. It's a lot.
There's a lot of interesting things in the world that most people have no clue about. But case in point. So here's another little.
Rates got better.
Rates got better. That's good.
Rates got better. Not a lot better, but a little better. Yeah.
Hey, incrementally, we've got some more information coming out on Friday. So what do you think? You think we're going to see a 75 basis point bump or no?
My problem is that all the major hurdles that we had to get through are still there. A few of the numbers have looked a little prettier recently, but all the major fundamental issues are still there. So when you look at the whole, bird's eye view of everything, I think that my biggest fear right now is that the market listens to the Fed say, a Fed official, not the Fed chair, but one or two Fed officials say something like, I feel like maybe this is going a little fast, and maybe he's had a few drinks at dinner, or maybe it's official or whatever. Maybe he says it in any capacity, and the market adjusts, this way with rates. But then when they see the reality, and they should have been doing this the whole time, then it swings back up this way.
Yeah.
Even worse than it would have. And that's what I really fear. Again, I think now's a really good time to buy a house because the prices are now down. The rates aren't. I mean, they're high, but I can see them going a hell of a lot higher.
Yeah.
And a lot faster than we're used to.
So you're seeing volatility, is what you're saying.
I don't think we're out of the woods. Yes.
We
You know,
agree on that. We agree on
have you
that.
seen any of these reports? I'm guessing no, because you've been under the weather, which is fine. But of Black Friday and the lack of people there.
Really? No, I haven't.
There was one report of a
It's
Best
big
Buy,
time.
and they showed the Best Buy before the pandemic, right, where you got lines around
Yeah.
the building, like night before, you got people lined up with sleeping bags. There was one person in line about 15 minutes before the store opened. Best Buy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I've been trying to buy a TV and they can't get it in stock, so it's probably microchips.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I know what you're talking about. Do you have where's
Busted.
your house? Oh God, I'm a dad. Oh, I should probably. Yeah.
Busted.
That is my 4-year-old. He is a happy boy that loves jumping around and banging.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Like,
I did see, and I'm going to throw this in because um, everybody is forgotten about stuff going on in the Ukraine right now.
mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna drop a couple of things that I have read. One, did you know at some point yesterday, I guess wind in Germany stopped blowing?
Are you actually being funny right
I'm
now? What's happening
no, I'm being serious.
here?
I was reading an energy thing, and the output of their wind turbines went from like 16.5 gigawatts to zero point 0.4, and they said it was the equivalent of shutting off 14 nuclear power plants.
I think I read about this. It was I think there was something with a giant fan and Doctor Evil.
Yes, that's what it was. They shut the fan off. Yeah,
6 mile fan
right.
blowing
That's
wind in the
right.
wrong direction.
But no,
Yeah.
seriously. So and the reason I bring it up is because you've got all the issues with natural gas and Russia and Ukraine and all that stuff now, and they obviously Germany and a lot of other countries have been looking towards renewable resources and renewable energy, and it's all fine because they were doing well and they were able to heat with electricity, but then all of a sudden the wind stopped blowing, and I just thought it was shocking that
Well, I mean,
they
Chris,
said
it's a great technology when combined with lots of other ones, or
combined with other
in
options.
or in a location that you can't access real
Right.
electricity.
Yeah.
Um, and I do mean real electricity. I mean like, putting a piece of coal, in a fire and letting it burn and
Something you
generate
can turn on and not have to wait for it to start.
something you can control, right?
Yeah.
That's real electricity. That says the guy with the electric car, by the way, who during Thanksgiving had to bow out early because they asked me to go home, which I didn't mind doing, but it was an hour drive there, hour drive back. I had already spent the first hour driving there. Now I got to have enough energy to the next day. They wanted to go to another location. And I'm like, well, I can make it home, but I can't make it out there and home. So sorry, like that's not happening. It's
You actually enjoyed that though.
you know what? I'm not going to lie to you. There was a certain aspect, but not for the reasons you'd think.
Oh, okay.
When you've got a special needs kiddo, it's this thing I was talking to my parents about tonight. It's this thing where you've created this safe environment at your house.
Yeah.
But when you're in other places in other people's homes, mine puts everything in the world in his mouth.
Right.
And I mean everything. He'll if you've got flower plants out, he loves dirt. He will go into your flowers and eat all the dirt in the world. Hope you didn't just put chemicals in them, right?
Right.
And so when you go to other people's houses, you're on edge the whole time. You're just constantly looking around. And so yeah, a part of me was really happy that I was like, oh, I'm so sorry we can't do this extra activity. We have to go home to our safe place where we know it's safe. It's just that was part of me loved that. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. One of the other things that I catch bits and pieces of all of this, and it's all related. But so the Kherson province, the Ukrainians took back over, right? And they actually
keep going. That's awesome, though.
They had the Russians had a large water plant captured, and so when the Ukrainians were able to push them back out, they were able to actually get water flowing to their people again. And then Russia came in and decided they were going to bomb the plant. And so now they don't have water again in the middle of the winter. And wow, that crap's fascinating over there. It's man, people are, I don't know. It puts a little economic thing into perspective.
Do you want to say hi? Right
What's
here?
up, buddy?
Yeah.
Hi.
Can you wave hi? Can you wave? Say hello? Yeah. That's a
Got that
wave.
other one up there, Dad.
Oh gosh. Yep, the other one's at the dentist with mom right now.
Oh, perfect.
So dad's being a
Perfect.
kind of a dad, I think, right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. I think that we're about to see. I hate to say it this way, but I think we're starting to see the crash that you and I have been talking about. And I know I said things might be getting better, and I think they probably will in Austin.
They will. They will.
And I think that's still on the timeline that I mentioned, but with such weak sales, with so much overage in stock, I would expect to see some sick deals coming up, even better than the Black Friday deals, way better. But I'm also expecting to see a lot of layoffs in the upcoming months.
Yeah.
And nobody will know until next quarter, unfortunately, the beginning of the year. Then we'll be able to see what happened in the fourth quarter. But it'll be interesting.
I hadn't, and that's interesting about the economy, and you kind of knew it was coming because realistically, people aren't dumb. They can see what's coming, and they're like, you know what, maybe things aren't as great, and my job isn't as secure, and all of that stuff, and I'm just not going to go, $5,000 on electronics this year. So yeah, I mean, you can see it. You can see it coming. This is what happens at the beginning or the middle of an economic.
Well, that's the side of the economy that has disposable cash. There's the other side of the economy that says, hey, the grocery bill went up $100 this month. We got to cut. So let's cut Netflix. Let's cut, HBO Max, whatever that is.
I would be interested to see some of those numbers on those, the right way to say it, but things that are expendable.
Can't tell if you're cutting off or if I'm cutting off. But one of us.
It might be me.
Either way, I agree with you though. It'll be interesting to see what that looked like, because the flip side of the data I told you about the Black Friday was that online retail sales went up. But they went up like 2% more than they were last year. Okay, well, normally I'd say, yeah, but the retail was huge last year, right? If you take that out, but was there retail last year with COVID, right? And at what point are we talking? I just don't. Anyways, I don't know. I can't. I get COVID brain on that. I can't think back with the years.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. For some reason, I feel like last year was kind of flat with kind of pre-COVID, and I could be wrong with that.
I just can't remember if people were out in droves or not. I know the year before then they weren't, right?
Nope, not at all. 2020, they were not.
I just can't remember what that was about, and maybe there's some of that now. There's a shortage of children's Tylenol nationwide right now.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't listened to the news at all, man.
Dude, well, I don't.
Right.
Look, I told you, I get my news from Twitter, and I don't follow people that talk about children's Tylenol.
Well, touche, my friend, touche. We have a healthy supply. Well, not healthy, but we have some, so we'll be all right. But there's this RSV or RVS, RSV, something with an R, that's going around that lots of kids are getting. We had a friend that went to the emergency room. She was telling us it was like a Tuesday at like 1 p.m, and there was a 13-hour wait. It was just filled with kids. Wow. There was an article while you were sick last week that KXAN put out, I think it was, that Dell asked them to. The Dell did a statement like, please stop bringing your children to Dell Children's Hospital and to the emergency rooms. Take them to emergency care. They have this RSV, I think it's called, right? Yeah, and so they've got this, and they can treat you just as well as we can, and we are backed up. So they're really serious about it. And
now when I got sick, several people commented that there's a lot of people that have something right now, whether it's flu or whatever. But I hadn't heard about the RSV thing.
None of it's COVID. Now just read the other day that 54% of the people that have died from COVID had the vaccines and boosters. So none of it's, and that's not really killing like it used to. Yeah, no, it's all, in other words, it's equalized again. It's mutated so much, and it's just, and it's not really that strong anymore. And so the long story short is that's not even in the news anymore, except if it's
Long
China.
story short is virus did what viruses do. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, yeah. But then again, what if it were my critical thinking devil's advocate point to this is, what if it were another, plague, right? What if it was Ebola? What if it were something that were that serious? The problem now, I think, is that the next one that shows up, people are going to be like, whatever. And what if it is Ebola, right? What if it is serious? And more than a 1% death rate like COVID was when it first showed up, right? So like, what if it's like a 70% and we're seeing, medieval, mid-ages stuff? I mean, that's I don't know. It's one of those. That's I don't.
You're talking about the super virus or whatever. I mean, and there's people that swear it's coming, and you know what, I can't.
I'm sure, right? But then I suppose it's an opportunity for us to be even more advanced and fight it, right? Who knows?
Survival of the fittest, like a mother.
Or some of those old books, the old, the old sci-fi books where you all live in like a little room and everybody's sectioned off from everybody else, but there's virtual reality so you can interact and feel and see.
Oh, you're talking Ray Bradbury stuff, yeah.
Well, I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah. Who knows, man?
I don't know what you're talking about. So you said rates dropped a little bit. What are you seeing? What are you seeing from filling out pre-approvals and stuff like that? Any type of noticeable bump at all, or
they picked up a few weeks ago?
Okay,
maybe 2 weeks ago. A little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. I'm seeing people here and there trickle in. A lot of the I would say lower income, but the problem with saying that is that's different per city.
Yeah.
If we're in Beverly Hills talking about low income, you're not talking about the same thing as inner city Detroit. I grew up in Detroit, so that's what I like to use as an example. But it's just, but I'm seeing a lot of. I'll give it a number. I saw one today for 150. They wanted a home for 150, and if you go far off and out enough, you can find something for 150. It takes a while, but you can do it. And so a lot of that's starting to come out of the wood shop a little bit. A lot of those little numbers. I'm not seeing a lot of the big ones yet.
No, and I'm seeing the same.
Yeah, they're out there, they're around, but the luxury market has taken a much deeper hit than
hammered.
Yeah, than everything else.
Yep.
But
you know what? But you and I have talked about it, and that makes complete sense. Because what have you and I talked about for the last 3 months? The people who have been kept out of the market because multiple offers and people having cash and running the price up and all this stuff, people that could not buy now all of a sudden can find a deal. Now, it may not be exactly what they wanted, where they wanted, but they're able to find a deal and they can get into a house. And I'm seeing the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem I'm seeing with the rates in general is what you and I have talked about on the program. When you have a company that has purchased enough for 3 months worth of loans, right, at a certain rate here, and then the rates kept getting higher and higher and higher, right? And every other company has been purchasing as they go, but this company purchased a block, right, and they can lend in this block. Okay, well, that gets depleted, and now they have to borrow up here. What you're seeing the average interest rate being is not at all the average interest rate. It might be for that one company that's down here, but everyone else borrowing up here. Okay, so eventually they're going to run out. So are your rates bad? Maybe, depending on how you look at it. But at the end of the day, we're all borrowing from the same pool. They just did a better job at predicting it. But they run out of money too eventually, and then then those averages, go from here to here, and now it's I don't know. It's worse than it looks. When you go to average mortgage rate on Google, it brings you to a graph, and I found those to be extremely accurate. They allow you to drop down and do the I'm not paid for this, by the way. It sounds like I am, right? But you can go by credit score, et cetera, loan type. And I've gone to bank rate, okay, and it'll show you a bank, and you click on the bank, and hey, there's the rate. But then you realize it's one of like 2 banks, and then you start reading these articles about these online banks about how some of them are great, right? Others have gone out of business, and then people that can't access their mortgage accounts, and what do you do? And it's there's a lot of horror stories out there. So, be careful when you go the absolute cheapest route,
Yeah.
beware what you're paying for, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
I'm gonna mention one other thing before we kind of go. So, you always get to toot your horn about how you feel like you're correct and well, how you're right all the time. Um, but I've been
trying to sound like
talking.
my wife, Chris.
It's not my. You're gonna have to show this to her later because she was at the dentist. But I've been telling a lot of people, and I've been saying on here a lot lately that, and I'm not the only one saying this, but it feels like the market has shifted back to what we were pre stupid COVID market, right? Um, and it's kind of starting to play out a little bit. I'd mentioned to a couple of sellers, hey, look, in October, early November, the market is dead. But if my hunch is right, and if we're going back into a normal market like things seem to be trending, we're going to see a little bit of an uptick after Thanksgiving. And sure enough, this weekend, I've seen showings pick up. I've seen just activity in general. Inquiries are picking up. And so it's, I'm not going to say that I was 100% right yet, but I think we're going to see, you said you saw the pre-qualification, stuff picking up, and we're seeing that it's starting to come back up again. People that are getting into the market because they need to move in December. And I'm going to remind everybody, we don't have a huge amount of inventory. Like we got quite a bit of builder inventory, but some of that stuff isn't able to be moved into right now, so it can't come off the table.
They're not building. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, interrupting. Yeah, keep going.
building is shut down now. So we're seeing, what available inventory there is kind of starting to be bought right now. And what's that going to do to, supply and demand? Well, that supply is going to come down. And so what's going to happen to prices? They're going to continue to go up. And this is what I've been saying now for 3 or 4 months. You've been agreeing with me. And that's what's bearing out right now. And so we'll probably see another drop off in January, February. So if you're trying to buy, now's a great time if it's a new home. If you're looking for resale, I'd wait until January or February. But then probably March, April, May, guys, I think the market's going to start going again a little bit unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'm probably saying it in a hopeful way,
No,
but that's
yeah.
where the logic comes from.
Yeah, I mean, look, interest rates could go to 9 and it shuts everything down. And at that point, it doesn't matter. They could.
I don't know. According to some of the economists I've been listening to, like Mark Sprague was saying, that people are going to see that rates are going to continue getting higher and think, my God, if I don't buy now,
If I don't buy now,
much higher interest rate later.
I had a great conversation. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. But that's kind of what I was saying earlier with the slingshot thing that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going. Great conversation.
I had a great accidental conversation this morning. It's a gentleman that lives in Arizona. He and his wife. He's an older gentleman, and he called me accidentally. He was trying to call a different Chris in his phone, and it was fine. And he and his wife had been looking for a short-term rental property here in Dripping Springs, and we just got to talking, and he's like, "Oh, Chris, I'm sorry, I called the wrong, blah blah blah, whatever." And we were having the same conversation. He's like, well, "What are you seeing with the market right now?" And I told him, hey, like there's, the luxury market's taking a hit. There's great deals. And I was like, a lot of it has to do with interest rates. And we were talking about the Fed and what numbers may be coming out in December and what's going to happen. And he goes, "You know what?" And he said, I don't get people. Now's a good time to buy a house. And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, I bought a house in 1980 at 18.5% interest." He said, "I made money on it." Okay. I mean, when you have perspective, things look different. When your only experience is the last 2 years, you have zero perspective. You don't know anything. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Anyway, it's like the only quote I ever remember from the whole thing.
Me too. I use that like once a week. It's so dumb.
Exactly.
I don't know why I always say that. I don't even know what John or Snow. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I get the show, but like, whatever. Go ahead.
But anyway, I mean, when you've got experience and people who have experience looking at this, it's like, okay, whatever. They're 6, they're 7, whatever.
Yeah, I like 8 years ago ran into a mortgage lender that I was working with that told me that her highest rate she ever gave was 22.5%, 22.5,
Wow.
1983.
Wow.
Lowest rate I ever gave on the other side of that spectrum was a 1.99. Sure, people have done lower, but that's the lowest I ever got for somebody.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like when that was happening, government's giving away free money. I mean, people were buying houses because the money was free. Like that
Basically,
fueled the whole thing. Like the whole thing, you talk about, people being able to manipulate the market stuff. Holy crap. If you don't think the federal government doesn't manipulate the housing market, come on. Like,
do they mean to? That's another thing. Do you think they're trying to influence the whole market, or do you think they're just trying to be good stewards? Because I think it's best intentions, worst outcome kind of stuff most of the time. You know.
if you think best intentions are getting reelected, I think you might be onto something.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about right now, I'm very worried about inflation long run. If they
Yeah.
don't,
Oh, everybody is. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Or we
know.
should be if we're not. Yeah.
But now is a great time to buy.
Now's a great time to buy. Keep going back to it. Keep going back to it, guys. We are going to shut it down. Been at it a long time, but anyway, we're doing this every Monday. And if you've got questions on this stuff, or if you want us to research a topic and kind of see what we think, let us know. I mean, you can get a hold of me easily. I'm all over social media. Steven's all over social media as well. Facebook's a great place to find phone numbers. So is the Googles, because everybody knows where the Googles are. But yeah, let us know. More than happy to answer questions or talk through your thoughts, or if you wanna just talk smack like our good buddy Trent, you can do that too. Just pop up right away. I don't know where
That's
Michael went. Like, and it was Michael. It was good to see you in church, by the way. Hadn't seen you there in a while. So, uh, but we are going to be back next Monday doing what we do, drinking a little alcohol and talking smart. Thank you,
See you.
sir.